Welcome back to Cloveriness. My name is Michelle and this will be part 2 of my massive book haul. Now recently I did have to make an emergency trip back to Eugene, Oregon to visit my father, who is in hospital. He has been really poorly. He's been dealing with a lot of stuff with his heart and his memories, and it's been really difficult living so far away from him while he's going through these things. So I decided to go back home for a visit. I was there for 2 weeks. A lot of the time was spent with my dad, with my brother, with some old friends from high school, but I did manage to visit a Barnes & Noble while I was there, and I picked up 3 books. The first was Biggest Flirts by Jennifer Eccles. I love Jennifer Eccles. I really do. Going Too Far has to be one of my favorite YA novels ever, and I'm always really excited when I hear about new books from her. So when I saw this in Barnes & Noble, I really did have to pick it up. I also picked up The Book of Broken Hearts by Sarah Auchler. I've read a couple of books by Sarah Auchler in the past, and I thought they were really sweet, cute, romantic, contemporary books, and this was a book that I really couldn't pass up. And finally, I was really excited to pick up this book, and that is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I've heard such wonderful things about this book. I love Jenny Han's summer trilogy, so I was just always going to be really excited enough to buy the hardback cover, even though I'm pretty cheap. So those are the 3 books that I bought at Barnes & Noble. I did manage to find quite a few second-hand charity shops and did pick up 2 books. The first is The Voice on the Radio by Carolyn B. Cooney. I don't know if I've ever spoken about this book before, but this is the 3rd book in a series. The first books were The Face on the Milk Carton, and the sequel was Whatever Happened to Janie. I read those 2 books when I was a very young teen, and The Face on the Milk Carton was one of those books that really grabbed me. And I was really excited to see a copy of this book in the secondhand bookstore, and especially the fact that it was only 50 cents. And I also found this wonderful hardback copy of Gone 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 by Hannah Moskowitz, and I don't know if you can see that there. $2.99! I picked up this wonderful hardback book for under $3, and I'm so excited. I really enjoy Hannah Moskowitz's books, and I can't wait to read this one. So those are the 5 books that I bought in America. I thought I was pretty restrained with my buying, purchases. And then when I came home, I was bombarded by all these different packages. So the first up were 3 books sent to me by Hotkey Books. The first is Say Her Name by James Dawson, which I'm hugely excited about. I keep hearing wonderful things about how scary this book is, and I just cannot wait to read a book that is super scary. Now the second book from Hotkey Books is The Black North by Nigel McDowell. This was a book that I hadn't really heard about before, and then I saw a couple of posts about it during Jim's Countdown to the 5th of June blog posts, and I think there was an interview by Faye on her blog. I'll link that down below, and it just sounded really interesting. So when this was offered for review, I snapped it up pretty quickly. Super excited about this next book. It is Graduation Day by Joelle Charbonneau. I read the first book, The Testing, for the Bookish Brits book club in April. It wasn't a book that I'd really ever considered reading, but I loved it. I read the second book, Independent Study, on the plane on the way home, and so seeing this book, the 3rd book in the trilogy, when I came home was a wonderful surprise. So thank you again, Hotkey Books. I love the look of all 3 of these books. I also received Louder Than Words by Laura Jarrett. This is the 3rd book by Laura, and I've absolutely adored the other 2 books, Skin Deep and by any other name were absolutely incredible books. Laura Jarrett has quickly become one of my favorite authors. I also received 2 books from HarperCollins. The first is The Giver by Lois Lowry. This is being made into a film and I'm really intrigued by it. I've heard some really interesting things about it over the years, but I've never read it and I really don't want it to pass me by any longer, especially with the film coming out. So I'm super excited that HarperCollins have sent this book for review. I also received The One by Kira Cass. This is a series that I have a lot of criticism for. Like, I really want more for America and I want it to be like less about her romantic relationships and more about this rebellion and everything going on, but still, it's still a book that I'm so intrigued to read and find out what happens. Unfortunately, I have been spoilt. I was spoilt on Twitter ages before the book was even published, and I'm really upset about that, but I'm still going to be excited to read this book and find out for myself what happens. Okay, so those were the books that were sent for review that I opened the second that I came into the house. This morning I had to go to the post office to pick up a package, and it was from Faber, and oh, I love packages from Faber. The first book in the package was Archie Green and the Magician's Secret by D.D. Everest. This is a book for younger readers, I believe, and it just sounds super cute. Hannah, the publicist for Faber, really raved about this book, and just, you know, reading like little bits about it with bookshelves are enchanted, librarians are sorcerers, spells come to life. It just sounds like a really fun fantasy book for younger readers and I just love books that are about books. And the second book is The Girl Who Walked on Air by Emma Carroll. Lots of you read and loved Frost Hollow Hall, Emma's previous book. I didn't read that one, but this one just sounds really interesting, about a girl who wants to be a tightrope walker in the circus, and she has to go through all of these different like obstacles. And finally, a book I'm super excited to read, and that's Memoirs of a Neurotic Zombie by Jeff Norton. I was able to go to the Faber blogger party at the beginning of the year. Jeff was there and he read a bit of this book. It was hilarious. I also took part in this sort of extract tour for this book, and you can read that extract at the link down below. Now, while I was on the high street this morning going to the post office, and because my 6-month buying ban is finished, and while I was in some charity shops, I managed to pick up this wonderful condition book, Model Misfit, the second book in the Geek Girl series. I love this series so much. I have already read this, but I only read an ebook on NetGalley, so I was really excited to get such a great copy of this book to keep on my shelves. And just for the hell of it, why not? I went and bought Picture Perfect, the third book in the Geek Girl series by Holly Smale. She is a favorite author of mine. I love this series and I bought it even though it was in hardback, but whatever. Alright, so hurrah! Those are the books that I bought in America, were sent for review, and 1 or 2 books that I bought for myself since. Have you read any of these books? Let me know where you think I should start. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe if you've liked what you've seen here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.